Hello and welcome to the Loris Math Teacher Training. Now in this training I'm going to walk through how to register as a teacher and how to use all of the features, and we're going to show you how to register as a student and everything that the student sees, and try to go through any of the frequently asked questions that may occur so you will have no issues. So let's get started. Every student and teacher will go to the website www.lorismath.com. Now when you get there, teachers and students log in at the same place, but you notice the student tab is defaulted. You want to click on the teacher tab, and when you do click on the teacher tab, it turns green. So just remember, when you're logging into your teacher account, you want the green one. So here's what we have to do first. You have to create a new account. Now, if you used Loris Math previously, you still need to create a new account because this is a whole new system. So to do that, click on New Registration. And when you do that, you will get this page. So you'll fill in your information, and then when you get down to here, the registration code, this is the same registration code that you use for your previous Loris Math if you did use it. And if not, you should talk to somebody that does. And if you don't have a code, feel free to email us and we can get you your code. Okay, so other than that, you can put in your usual information, your username and password, any of that. It does not have to be the same as last time, but you can use whatever you want. Okay, when you do, you're going to get to your home page. Now, it is very, very simple. This is where you can create a class. Then we give you all your information down below, and you have these icons right here. So this is Contact Us. This is your teacher resources, and this is log out. Okay, so it's very, very simple. So the first thing you want to do is create a class. When you create a class, you want to give it a name. Now, what's different with Loris Math this year is you have one curriculum you can use per class. So you can choose, and it also depends on what your school has purchased. So for the curriculum, you can give a students Algebra 1, Algebra 2, or Geometry. So you can click on one of those and then put in the name, then click Create Class. And when you do that, there you go. So for instance, Sample Algebra 2 it has Algebra 2 material, and then you'll see you have a class code. This is the code right here that you can give to your students so that they can register. Okay, and we will get into that in just a little bit. But if you need to make any change to this class name, you can click on the pencil to edit it. Or if you say, oops, I didn't mean to create this class, you can click on the X and that will delete it. Now coming back to how do students register. So looking at this class code, you can either give the student the class code and then have them register, or you can give us a list of students, every student, and we can send you an import sheet, and then you email us that import sheet, and LorisSoft can upload your students, or you can create your students yourself. Depending on what you prefer, it's up to you. Okay, so to do that, what we're going to do is click on, here's where you'll spend most of your time with all your classes. Click on the class, and that will give you the roster. Okay, so when you first start, you don't have any students, so the class roster is empty. Okay, now I want to walk through each one of these icons. These are your action icons. So to start, we have this one, the little person with the plus on it. That simply means add user. Now, a user is defined as either someone brand new that has not registered yet, or they could be a registered user. So if you're creating a new student, you will just type in simply their ID, their first name, their last name, and their grade, and click Create User. That's it. If they're a registered user, so they've already registered, you would click on that, and then you will find the list. Here's your list of students. It's in alphabetical order. So then you choose the students, and then if you want to choose all of them, you can check all, and then simply add selected students to your roster. That's it. Okay, then when you come back to your roster, here all your students are now in your roster. Okay, so now let's take a look at this roster real quick. So you have the student name right here. This information is what they log in with. So this is the student last name, and this is their ID number. So if a student comes up and says, I can't log in, this is the information that you need to confirm that they're using. Sometimes a student may misspell their last name, so just double check right there. This section right here tells you the percent complete that the student is. So throughout Algebra 2, all the curriculum, there are a certain number of lessons. Well, this student is approximately halfway done with the lessons. Now their score overall is they're at a 98%, so they're doing very well. Whereas this student here, they're almost completely done, they're at an 82%. That's still pretty good. This student is almost halfway done, but they're in the red, they're at a 45%. This student is not doing so well. Okay, so that's just to give you a quick bird's eye view. This is, again, this column here is their overall score. Okay, and then this column here is their settings, which I will get into in just a second. Okay, now, if a student has a misspelling or something, you can edit it by clicking on the pencil, or if you no longer want them in your class, you can simply click the X, and that will remove them from the roster. You will not delete any students. The next icon we're going to look at is this icon, the little gear. These are your class settings. Okay, now this is very, very important, so let me walk through each one of these settings. When you click on that, you will get the following list. You basically have 4 settings that you can set. Okay, so here we go. The first one, the review section parameters. What we have in the program is when a student logs in and starts for the very first time, and I'm going to show you this in just a little bit, but we want the student, we really want to confirm that the student is ready to get into the Common Core material. So what we do is we make sure we give them some review material to really make sure that they have it. Now, every student must take the pre-tests of the review material. This way you have a little baseline data and the student can know whether or not they're ready. Okay, but what you were able to do is make the student go through the review section all the way through to complete everything before they're ready. Now, this takes time, so if you're very close to whatever test they're taking and you don't want them to, you do not probably want this set. This forces them to go through each and every review lesson. There's approximately, let's see, for Algebra 1 there's 30 of them, for Algebra 2 there's around 30, and for Geometry there's like 18. So depending on how much time you want in there can really dictate which choice you choose. The default is we are saying no, so they don't have to go through the entire review section. Again, everyone has to take the pre-tests, but they don't need to necessarily go through the material, and I will show you exactly what that means. Okay, but if you do, you just simply click yes, and then as always make sure you click on the update button. That's very, very important. Okay, so that's the review section parameters. Now, for the curriculum, this is what you can change. Right now, they're in Algebra 2. For the most part, you probably should never need to touch this, because if they're in Algebra 2, you probably don't want them in Geometry or Algebra 1. If you would like a student to have multiple subjects, all you need to do is create another class. So you can create a Geometry class and set that equal to Geometry, and then that student, if you add a registered student into that class, they can see Algebra 2 and Geometry. It's very, very simple. Okay, so that's the curriculum. Okay, when we're talking about prerequisites, what we're talking here is in the program we have videos, notes, and quizzes, and the notes are very interactive. So we consider that the video and the notes are kind of the lesson or the material before the quiz. So we are saying that the student needs to either watch the video or go through the notes, and then they should be ready for the quiz. Now, you may require or desire that a student not only watches the video but also takes the note. Or in other words, they need to both watch the video and go through the lesson notes. Okay, so if you want that to be the case, you just simply change it to both. But the default choice is they either need to watch the video or the notes, and then they can take the quiz. Okay, but again, you're welcome to change these parameters. Okay, and then lastly, the locking parameters down here. Now, the locking parameters are to give you information on if the student is going too quickly and not doing well. Okay, so here are the 3 parameters. First, we have the number of attempts. Okay, the number of attempts just simply means if a student takes a quiz X number of times. The default value is 2. So if they take it 2 times, and again, all 3 must be true, and they get a minimum score, which the default is 60, and they do the quiz in less than or minimum time of 60 seconds, then the student will be locked out. Okay, so let me repeat that. The number of attempts. If a student, or when the student takes a quiz 2 times and they get a score of less than 60 on both those attempts, and they take it in less than 60 seconds, that student will be locked out. So if a student comes up to you and says, hey, I have a lock next to my quiz, that tells you the student is working way too quickly. That way you don't have to monitor as closely. It just simply locks them out. Now you can change this, and I'm going to get at the end of the video go through how to change it so a student will never get locked if you don't want it that way. So I will come back to this at the end. Okay, so those are your class settings. Coming back to your roster page, we're now going to look at this icon right here. It's this little A+. These are your grades or your scores. Okay, so this is where you see all the scores. So what you want to do is click on this right here. When you click on that, you will see this page right here. So this gives you your scores. Now, there's several things you can do here. First of all, you can view the scores. The default is every student is chosen, every quiz is chosen in Algebra 1. Okay, so right away, let's first look at actually the time span. Select quizzes after a certain date but before a certain date. If you want to look over a time span, just pick dates for those. But for the most part, if you just want to see scores, the default is every date will be shown. So you don't really need to do anything with that. Okay, the report view is, do you want to see just the scores? Are you running just to see scores so you can put it into a gradebook? You just want to click that. Now, if you want to see scores and attempts, you want to click that. So if you want to see, I want to see not only what my student got as a score, I want to see how many times did they take the quiz. We'll go ahead and click on this, and that's the report you will get. Okay, the scores to include in the report, if the default is the highest score, that's what the student sees. But if you say, you know what, students, I'm going to look at your first attempt. I want to see how they're really trying. You can change it and look at their first attempt. Okay, then if you want to just view it on the computer screen, or if you want to export it into Excel, if you want to sort it or do whatever, you can choose either one of these. So whichever one you click on, that's the report you're going to get. Okay, you can also choose, I want to see how the students are doing in the review material. You can choose that. Okay, this is pretty simple to get the hang of, so just try it a couple times and see. Now, the scores that you will see when you click on Display Quiz Scores or Export are really only these scores, even though every single one of these is chosen. The only things you're going to see are quizzes that have been taken by at least one student. So you're not going to get a huge list of every possible quiz, because if no one has taken that quiz, you're not going to see it. Okay, so that's the quiz scores page. The last icon right here is this little lock. Now you'll notice it's a padlock that is unlocked. Okay, when we talked about a student could have a quiz locked, if the student has a quiz locked, then this lock will actually be locked. But right now the looks of it are, if it's unlocked, there are no quizzes to be unlocked. So it will actually look like this. If there is a student that has a locked quiz, it will look like a gold locked lock. So what you would do is you would just simply click on it, and you would go to this, you would get to this page, and you can go through and unlock each and every quiz individually by choosing it here, or, because if you have a long list that goes down, you just simply go through and unlock individually, or if you want to do it all in one fell swoop, you just click right here, unlock all, and it will unlock all the quizzes. Okay, so that's the final icon right there. So again, this is where you will spend most of your time in this roster. This gives you all the information. And then coming back to the roster right here, let's say, again, all of these icons that we just went through, these are class settings. If you ever want to make a change, specifically on this one, those are for the class. If you want to make a change for the student, you would just simply click on the student setting gear. Okay, so if you clicked on this one right here, you said, I want this student to go through the basics review, you would click on that and allow them to do that. It would not change everything for the class, just that student. Okay, and if you have any questions on this, feel free to click on Contact Us, send us an email, and we'll respond with how to walk through everything. Okay, so that explains all of the teacher features. Now what I want to do is walk through how a student registers. So let's take a look. Here is what your student is going to see. Actually, this page is just a little title page. They won't see this. This is what your student will see. When they log on to lorismath.com or they go to that website, they will see Loris Math Student Login. They're the orange ones. Now, if a student is given the code that you give it, they will simply click right here at New Registration. Okay, if they click on that, they'll see, here's your student registration. Give me your first name, last name, grade level, ID number, confirm that, and then the class registration number. That's the code that you give them. Then they hit complete. We know exactly where they're supposed to be. We put them in your roster. Now, if you gave us a list of students and we import all your students, what they're going to see is a kind of a walkthrough questioning of, okay, where should we put you? What settings do we give you? So that only happens if we import the teacher. So let me show you what that means. Okay, so if your school again says, hey, here's a list of every single one of our students, can you put them in? We can do that. And then when they log in for the first time, they would go to the login page, put in their last name and ID, whatever's on the import sheet. Then they get this screen. Welcome, in this case, welcome to Loris Math, sample student. So please choose your teacher. So they choose right here. They get a drop-down list of all the teachers. Then whatever classes you have set up, they will choose from that. And then click Submit. And then they go into the class, and that's it. Okay, so this process is as if you had given them the code. So whatever method you want to choose is fine. It's set up for them to get into your class. Whatever way a student registered, they will end up on this page. This is their curriculum page. This is their home page. This tells them what curricula they have access to. So obviously they can see Algebra 1, they were not enrolled. Algebra 2, they were not enrolled. But Geometry, they're enrolled in. So they can see overall the score. I haven't started yet. It's NA, 0% complete because I haven't done anything. We also keep track of the number of coins they have earned and the number of stars or perfect scores they have received, which I will get to later on in the video. Okay, but whatever video they have, as soon as they click on this, then that's going to take them into the curriculum. When a student goes to get into one of the curricula, the first thing we do, as we said, is we give them review curriculum. So they have to go into the review section. So we get into that. They're going to click on continue, and they're going to get pre-tests. So in the geometry, this is the review section. So this part right here has black font, so that means it's active. If it's grayed out, it means it's not active. Okay, so from here, they're going to click on this to get to those pre-tests. So they say, okay, I have 2 sections. Here are the pre-tests. So I click on the quiz icon, and I get my quiz. So here, this is the way the quizzes look. So this is question 1. You can see it's highlighted. So I go through, I choose my answers or whatever it may be. Then I go through each of the questions by either clicking on the number or clicking next. And then when I get to the last one right here, number 10, I can click finish. And then when I finish, then I'm going to get my score. Now the score, we give also a breakdown of, okay, within the section there are certain lessons. And the red ones you did not get correct, so those are the ones we highly recommend you look at. The green ones you did get correct, so whether or not you as a teacher want them to go and do those is up to you. Okay, so all that to say, that's how your students see the score. Now they can see this anytime. When they click on their pretest, there's always this view results. So they can click on that and get the same screen you just saw. But when they finish both pretests, then we give them a recommendation. Now this is purely a recommendation. It's not a mandate. We say, okay, based on your scores, we recommend that you should probably go back and look at section 1 and section 2. Well, that's the entire geometry review curriculum. So we can either return them to review or they can proceed to geometry. Now the reason we have it like this is because we know you as teachers might not want them in the review the entire time. So you want them in the Common Core material. So you have them proceed to geometry. Either way, it's up to you. So student makes the choice, then they're going to get to the material. Now, if they chose back to review and they go into a section, this is what it looks like. So all the material is active for the students. So when they do that, they're going to work through until they get to the post-test. Now, the way the post-test gets activated is they have to finish the previous lesson. So they need to go finish lesson 10. As soon as they take the lesson 10 quiz, they get the post-test quiz. Okay? Now, anytime if a student is working on a review and you say, hey, we want you in the Common Core material, they just simply click on the purple tab right here, and that will send them to the Common Core material. Okay, so that's the review material. So if in your teacher settings and the parameters, if you said, yes, they must do all the review material, the only way they can get out of the review material is by taking these post-tests for each section. Okay, the geometry has 2 sections. Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 both have 3 sections. Okay, so that's the review material. Here is what the geometry units would look like. So when they're in the Common Core material, they're referred to as units. So here's Unit 1. You can see it's in black font, so this is active. None of the other ones are in black font, so they're all inactive. Everything is designed to be in progression. So it's designed for Unit 1 to go first. Then Unit 2, complete that. You get Unit 3, and so on. Now, you can see in the teacher resources, there's a scope and sequence. So you'll see what our sequence is and our scope. If you say, you know what, we are not doing Unit 1 until later, that may very well be, you can simply go in and change, okay, I want Unit 4 to be active. So there will be a setting that you can click on and change what is active and what a student can view. So when that setting gets updated, we will put out a new video, and this is going to happen with every new feature that we input. We will put out a new video that explains how to do that, and so it will be right below the link for this one. So it will be very, very simple to find. Okay, so when a student opens up a unit, they're going to get to what are called lessons. So let's take a look at what a lesson looks like. Here is what the quote-unquote unit page looks like that lists out the lessons. So you can see there's Lesson 1, Lesson 2, Lesson 3, Lesson 4, Lesson 5. Now when a student mouses over each of these, they're going to get a little description right here of what the lesson is. For the sake of aesthetics, we don't cram the entire lesson name in here, but they will see it up here. Okay, now you'll notice here that only the video is active. Okay, so here are where the settings that we were talking about. Do you want the student to watch either the video or the notes before they get the quiz, or video and notes before they get the quiz? So when a student clicks on this video right here, anywhere around here, when they click on this, they'll get the video. So the video, they'll work through the video, they'll see work worked out with them, we'll walk through problems with them. Then when they get done with the video, they'll click on the X down here, it will go away, and they will see a little check mark by the video. That shows they're done. Now you'll notice right here, the quiz is inactive. So that means that this teacher has a setting that the video and notes are required before they can see the quiz. If those weren't the settings, then it would look like this. The quiz would be active. Okay, so that's video or notes. Okay, so either way, once they click on the notes, then we're going to walk them through the notes. Now, here is a quick bit of a tip for you. Teachers, if you are asking, okay, you know what, some of my students, I don't think need to watch the videos and might not even need to do the notes. I just want them to take quizzes. The way we have that worked out, that's not the best way to do it. So that's not how we have it designed. Now, there is a workaround. So if you just want them to get to the quiz, what we recommend is choose video or notes. So either one, that's the default setting, so don't change that. And then what you can do is have the student click on the video, it'll open up the video, and then just close it down. That will give them credit for watching the video. Okay, I know they didn't watch the video, and if you're looking for, I want to know if my students watched the video, we are timing how long they're open, so you'll see, did they watch a good amount of the video or did they just open it up and close it? Okay, so we kind of kept that in for both options for you. So that's what we have there. Okay, so that's how you can go back and forth between, okay, do you want video and notes or video or notes? So that's the difference between the two. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, please feel free to contact us and we will walk you through it very, very clearly. Okay, now let's say the student, what happens when they click on notes? If they click on notes, then they're going to get their first page. We just simply walk through, okay, in this lesson you're going to see vocabulary and however many topics that we're discussing in this. So to move or to navigate through the notes, we have arrows. So there's only one arrow to go. It's to go that way. Okay, now there's a little X down here that can close the window. This does not give credit for going through the notes. I will show you what does. Okay, when they click on vocabulary, they can click on a word and it will give them the definition. But now notice they have navigation arrows to go either way. So I'm going to keep going that way until I get to the end. Every once in a while, I showed you this is the very bottom of the notes. Every once in a while you will need to scroll to get to the bottom to see these navigation arrows. Okay, because sometimes there's more information to fit on a page, so a student will have to scroll. So when they do, they just simply get this, click to the right, and they keep going. And then we also implement progress checks. This is the interactive part. We want to understand, or we want the student to know, do you really understand what's going on here? Well, here's a little check for you. Okay, so again, as I said, some of these problems, because there are visuals with them, may take a little bit more than the page. So all of this instructions right here, you don't need that on the screen. So a student will scroll down some so they can see this, and there's a drag and drop menu here. So if they scroll down, it would look like this. Okay, so they drag and drop their answers in, and they click check answer to see if they got it right. And then if they didn't, they would try again and keep going. And then when they are done with the notes, this button right here, notes complete, that is what gives them credit for viewing the notes. They must click this button. Okay, that's the bottom line. That will give them credit for the notes. So when they do click that, they get the little checkbox. When a student finishes their notes, then you'll see their quiz is active. Now, this student, I actually worked ahead, so this student here has a locked quiz, because I want to talk about that in just a little bit. But you'll notice down here, these coins right here are grayed out. These coins right here are black. They're empty. Okay, so they're actually not black coins. They're just empty spots. But they're filled in black because they did not get any coins. So if a student gets between a 0 and 25%, they do not receive any coins. If they get between 25 and 50, they get 1 red coin. If it's 50 to 70, they get 2 yellow coins. If it's 70 to 90, they get 3 green coins. And 90 to 100, they get 4 blue coins. Okay, now, if they get 100% on the first time they take a quiz, you will also see they get a little star. Okay, that's just to show they got perfect first time. Okay, we want to acknowledge that, so the student will have a perfect first attempt star put right on the lesson. Okay, so you can see quickly by looking at the screens how students are doing. Now, when a student completes every lesson quiz, so these are not all active, but when they do and go through and they take this last lesson, whatever it is, in this case, lesson 5, once they take this quiz, then the unit quiz pops up. And this is a longer quiz that covers all the material from the entire unit. Okay, so they will see the unit quiz as soon as they complete the last lesson's quiz in that unit. So that's where they'll see the unit quiz. Okay, if a student, again, is locked, then that means that they've reached all 3 parameters. So the number of attempts, the score, and the time. They've reached all 3 of those and got locked. Okay, so what you would want to do to unlock it is go into your settings page. So let me walk through that. Go into here and change your locking parameters. Okay, so if you said, you know what, I don't want a student to ever be locked, okay, because it sounds like a lot of work to click on that lock and click unlock all. Now, albeit it really takes 5 seconds to do that, but if you didn't want to do that, that's fine. What you'll want to do if you don't want a student to ever be locked is this. Okay, all 3 parameters have to be met. So number of attempts, minimum score, or minimum time. What you want to do is set one of those to an impossibility. So the easiest one to do, you could set your attempts to like 20,000. A student is not going to take a quiz 20,000 times, so they will never get locked. Easiest thing to do is change this minimum time. Just change it to 1. If it's 1 second, a student cannot submit a quiz that quickly. So if you change this 60 seconds to 1, it's that simple. They can't submit it that quickly, so therefore all 3 parameters will never be met, so they will never get locked. Again, as a teacher, I probably would not set that because I want to see if a student's working too quickly and not doing well. So to me, the lock is an easy indication. I don't have to do any work. The student has to come up to me and tell me, hey, guess what? I'm not really working that hard. Can you unlock this for me? So that helps me out as a teacher. Okay, that's our intention with it. So hopefully it helps you out. But again, if you ever have any questions with anything or any recommendations for us, we're always open for recommendations. Okay, please feel free to contact us right here. Click on that, fill out the form, send it in. We are happy to talk with you. Now, any new update that we do, we will always put a training video right here in your teacher resources. Okay, and we'll put out an email. Hey, there's a new feature. Check it out. There's a training video in your resources. Take a look at it. This right here is where you would find it. Okay, so that's just for your information. And that concludes this teacher training. So I thank you for your time, and please contact us if you ever have any questions. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.